Hello and welcome to the Shiny Bees podcast, a podcast for those that like their knitting, comedy and yarn in equally large measures. I'm your host Jo Milmine and this is episode 46, Enabling 101.
I feel a need to laugh again with you, if that's alright. I need a drink, I need a friend.
Hello everybody and welcome to the show. Today is Tuesday the 12th of May 2015. How are you all? I hope you're all well since the last time I spoke to you. If you are a new listener, hello, welcome in. Come and sit down, we're a friendly bunch, and if you're a returning listener, a hearty welcome back. It's great to have you with me again. Today is a bit of a changeable one on the weather front, and I am recording upstairs and the rain is battering against the window intermittently. It's going from sort of sunshine to rain and back again, which seems to have been the general weather for about 2 weeks now. And it is a little bit windy as well, so you may pick up some background noise during the show, depending on how ferocious the weather gets. And you may hear the odd bit of jet noise in the background. There are a few of them knocking around today, and they are quite noisy, and so it will get picked up. And you've probably heard it on the show before, to be honest, but just a warning that there are some of them around. Today is a Tuesday, and Tuesday will be the day that the podcast continues to operate on from here on in, just to facilitate a few things that are going to be happening at Shiny Heights over the next few months. And Sunday's just not really the best day for me to put a podcast out anymore in terms of the schedule. So I'm going to move to a Tuesday instead, and that should make everything a little bit more straightforward when it comes to production. So I'm sorry if you are a Monday morning listener and I cheer you up on your miserable walk to work or your terrible Monday morning commute in the rain and the cold or whatever else. But instead you can get me on a Wednesday morning, and then it's nearly halfway through the week. By the time it gets to lunchtime, you're 50% of the way through. I mean, it's got to be good, right? So yeah, it will be on Tuesdays from here on in. Of course, if you want to be guaranteed that you will never miss an episode, the best option for you is to subscribe. And you can do that via iTunes or one of the other podcast streaming apps, and you will never miss an episode. So yeah, Tuesdays from now on is quite exciting. Looking forward to that. So how have you all been? Good, I hope. I've been loving the Royal Baby Knitwear and the patterns thereof appearing on Ravelry. It's been a nice welcome change from the delights, shall we say, the deep joy of general election coverage, which I'm thrilled to say is now, well, the actual election coverage is over because it was announced on Friday, but it's still being dragged out completely on all kinds of media. The aftermath of the government, if you will, being voted in. I found it exhausting. I don't know about you guys, but I found the whole thing utterly exhausting. You know, I exercise my democratic right to vote. I don't vote in person because church halls smell funny. I do a postal vote. Did one for Millie because he's away, and did all of the good stuff. And like a lot of other people did across the country, and I'm just looking forward to an end to the media circus, really, so we can all get on with what we've been, what's been voted in, really. I find it really difficult. I just don't understand the amount of rage going on, really. It's really difficult to kind of put into words. We live in a democratic society and everyone has the right to their own vote. Not everyone exercises that right, but most people do, or a majority of people do, and you get to choose who you want. That's the whole point of democracy. You choose who you want and you vote for them. And I think it's really good that people are involved and they have an opinion and they're passionate about what they want for the country. That is all really good and should be encouraged. What I don't find especially helpful is the people that go onto social media or write blogs that are basically just slating people for voting for parties that are not the same party they voted for. You can't go on about democracy and then slate someone for doing something else, and you're not going to convince anyone to join your cause if all you're doing is calling them a insert string of expletives here. And that has been the difficult thing for me to deal with is the amount of vitriol. It's different to being disappointed. Of course, a lot of people will be disappointed. A lot of people will be worried about what the next 5 years hold, and that is completely valid. And having an opinion about that and not wanting that to be the case is one thing. But calling people names and telling them to get off your timeline or to defriend you because if they voted for whichever political party, then they obviously don't care about anyone, and all this kind of stuff is just not helpful. There's a difference between disappointment and being rude, and I just want the rudeness to stop, really, because it just drags you down. Even if it's not direct, none of it has been directed at me. I keep my cards pretty close to my chest. I don't feel the need to impart my political views on anyone else. I'm quite happy to listen to why other people want to vote for particular parties. I think it's interesting. But I do my research, I pick my person, and that's that. And I don't talk about it. I don't put on Facebook that I've voted in the general election because I'd done it a week earlier and sent my postal vote in. I don't do church holes or anything like that. But I completely, appreciate people's right and the feeling that they need to do that. I think, it's a good, healthy thing to be doing, and debate is a good thing. Being rude is a bad thing. And unhelpful. I just think the people who spend so much time calling other people names should get out from behind their keyboard and go and join the political party and actually try and convince people to have the same point of view that they do, because surely that's a bit more of a productive thing. I'm a bit of a doer. I'm kind of like, don't sit there moaning about it. Get off your fat backside and do something. Do you know what I mean? Or your thin backside. Any kind of backside will do. Just get up. Just get going. Just move. Make a change. Do something. Don't just sit there wailing about it. It's not going to change anything. So yeah, I'm quite pleased to see the back of that, and we're just going to have to deal with whatever kind of falls out of it, really. I'm quite pragmatic about these things. It's happened now. The vote's been done. Nobody's going to change it. Kicking off and protesting, it's not going to change a thing. It's just not. So the best thing you can do is make a plan for getting on with it, in my opinion, and that's what I intend to do. And hopefully a lot of this general whipping up of things by the media will also calm down and we can all just get on with our lives, really. So I'm glad that's out of the way, and yes, I've cheered myself up by looking at pictures of baby bonnets being put on backwards on the Royal Princess, and loving it, absolutely loving it. Good old Kate there, trotting out in her high heels and everything, in a pretty dress. Fair play. Loving your work, Kate. So yeah, in big knitting news, well, what have we got for you? What have we got in the show today to cheer up all of you that need a bit of cheering, or just to entertain those of you that need a bit of entertaining? Well, we have some news, and we have a Neighbourless Corner. So what I suggest you do is get yourself a rather large beverage, grab your knitting, and turn off any political related stuff that may be going on around you, and let's crack on with the show. So in nitty news then, first up for you I have some trunk show news, and this trunk show is going to be taking place at Fluph, my beloved Fluph, in Dundee. A little bit gutted, I'm going to be missing it. Might have to do some shopping via Instagram perhaps, by Nick from Yarns from the Plain, who will be popping into Dundee on her way up to the Caithness Craft Collective retreat on Wednesday the 27th of May 2015. She'll be there between 2 and 8 p.m, and she will be at Fluph, which for those of you who are not familiar is at 164 Blackness Road in Dundee. You can walk from the train station, or there is a bus service that stops just outside as well. Websites for that are www.fluph.co.uk, which is FLUPH, or if you're not able to make it but you want to go and have a little toot at Nick's Wares, you can find her at www.etsy.com/shop/yarns from the plane. So that is the 27th of May at Fluph in Dundee between 2 and 8 p.m. Next up for you is probably leaning towards the Enablers Corner, but I've got something else big in there for you, so I've had to move it out and into the news section. But if you're anything like me, you will love the idea of this. Do you have too many whips? Do you find yourself completely unable to say no to the latest knit along, pattern, spin along, or whatever else along, or whatever else new yarn, or whatever else new update, or whatever else new pattern that comes along? Do you feel the need to cast on everything at once? Do you find you are lacking time to achieve all of these wild ambitions? Fear not, you can check yourself into the Hotel for the Hopelessly Overcommitted. This is a new group on Ravelry that's been started by Pork to Goblin, Alice, and she's been assisted by Ecky Thump. And basically it's just a fun group for people who are wildly overcommitted. The clue is in the title, the Hotel for the Hopelessly Overcommitted, and it's just a bit of fun. There are several different rooms, there are services on offer. You can check yourself into the penthouse. If you need some time off from the pets, there's a pet hotel, so you can get on with your knitting. The creche is a little bit barren at the moment, but I intend to check the mill miners into that one, get them out from under my feet, and it's just a bit of fun really. If you are that kind of person and want to hang around with other hopelessly overcommitted people, then this group could be the one for you. They are going to be having a virtual knit night on the 1st of June, starting at 1900 British Summer Time, and going through to the 2nd of June at 0700 British Summer Time. So it'll be overnight, so the Brits can check in sort of in the evening, and then the Americans obviously will catch up overnight. And the hashtag for that is hashtag HOC Grand Opening. And this is basically going to kick off the summer make along. And for that, all you need to do is participate with a project that reminds you of summer. So it's fun, it's a little bit of escapism. Is it going to make your enabling worse? Undoubtedly. But you know what? If it's fun and it makes you happy, who cares? That is the Hotel for the Hopelessly Overcommitted, and it's a group on Ravelry, and I will link to that in the show notes. See you when you check in. Right then, Enablers Corner. What have I got for you today? Well, if you listen to the Knit British podcast, you will probably already know what I'm about to say to you. Not the exact words, of course, because, well, I don't know what the exact words are going to be yet, but you'll know what I'm about to start talking about, and that is Make It Fit 2015. This is going to be a collaboration between myself and Louise Scully at Knit British podcast, and essentially was born out of a rant that went on quite a few episodes ago now regarding knitting items to fit, and me bemoaning the fact that I'd knitted a cardigan that was clearly too big to the size that I thought I was, but I wasn't, because I didn't want it to look too tight, and I'd actually ended up making myself look larger because of the amount of extra knitted material, which was a faintly ridiculous thing to do, because as knitters we have the ability to make things that fit us perfectly to the stitch, but we don't always take that opportunity. Maybe because we don't feel we have the necessary knowledge, or we're a little bit scared of spoiling the pattern by fiddling around with it too much, or because we're so conditioned into trying to make ourselves fit into a certain size that belongs to a certain number that we just don't push ourselves to do it. maybe we're a little bit scared. There's a whole kind of host of reasons why people maybe haven't tried garments, or they've knitted garments and they've not been as successful as maybe they would like. And they've been a little bit dissatisfied by the process, or maybe they've just never wanted to try because there are these ideas that they have about what it's like and knitting for themselves and making things that fit the way they want them to has just put them off, really. And essentially we got together and giggled and mucked about and laughed a lot on Skype and have come up with a bit of a plan for it. Now, it's important to say at this stage that neither Louise nor I are making it fit experts by any stretch of the imagination. We both knit, we both love knitting, we both like enabling, and we're both passionate about empowering people to try things and to achieve what they want to achieve in their knitting. Now, if you don't ever want to have a garment that fits you properly, if you don't ever want to find out how to do the maths and change it, that's fine. It's really, it's entirely up to you guys. But if you do think that you would want to try it and you do want to learn more about it, as we do, then this feature could be of interest to you. And as I've said, it is all about empowerment. It's about finding these different tips and techniques that you can use to make garments fit the way you want them to fit. And again, an important thing about this is neither Louise nor myself are of Barbie doll proportions. I'm incredibly average. And it's not about gok one everything up and cinching in waist and making yourself look thin or thinner or anything like that. It's about you deciding you want a garment to fit a certain way. And that could be baggy. Could be really tight, it could have longer sleeves, it could whatever you want, and being able to do that because you have the skills and techniques in your arsenal to allow you to make those changes. And I think that is a really important thing to bring out. It's not just about making yourself look thin, because I think that's a load of rubbish. It's about making a garment that fits the way that you want it to fit, however that fit is. However that makes you feel comfortable, it's about being able to do that. For instance, my mum is about a size 10, but everything she wears on the top is a size 14 because she doesn't like things being tight around her arms. She doesn't like things being tight around her shoulders. So she always gets stuff that she hates anything that actually is tight. So she always buys stuff in about a size 14 instead. There's nothing wrong with that. Gokwan might not like it. Whoever else styling people might not like that she does that, but that's what she feels comfortable in. That's what she wants to wear. She doesn't like things tight around her arms. There could be a multitude of reasons why you want things to fit a certain way, but if they aren't exactly how the pattern is written, then you're going to be disappointed unless you know how to change things. That's where we come in. So, what are we going to be doing? Well, we're going to keep it sort of vague and fluid for now so we can give you more details as we go along and so you don't get all sort of overwhelmed to start with. And this week there'll be threads opening in both of our groups, and if you have any thoughts on it, if you've ever struggled with a particular aspect of things, if there's anything you would like to know more about, what are your pet peeves, anything at all, if you've got any top tips, that would be brilliant because so many of you guys are really accomplished knitters and have great ways of getting around, whatever your mama gave you, as it were. If you've got an ample bosom, you might use short row shaping to make all of your knits fit and give you that little bit of extra fabric to cover that. Lots of you have got really great ways of doing this already, and we would love for you to come and share those with us as well. And likewise, if there's anything you struggle with, come and share that with us. And we're going to be focusing a lot of it around the blogs, because a lot of these subjects do lend themselves better to a written format where you can put pictures on to explain what you're talking about, and that they may be quite lengthy, and not everyone is going to be making it fit. So we don't want to put massive amounts of detail into the podcasts, although there will be little snippets of sort of extras on the podcast, and there may be things like we're going to have some guest contributors. We may get them onto the podcast to chat about their general feeling about making things that fit and their general opinions, just to get a bit of interest going and keep the main parts. They will be on the blogs. We got a bit excited, we went completely mental with it, then we reined it all the way back in, and I think we've kind of settled on something in the middle that we'll both be happy with, because we want to do this subject justice, but we don't want it to turn into the biggest thing ever, because we're not reinventing the wheel. Lots of people have written on this sort of thing already, and it's just about encouraging you to go out there and find it, or pointing you in the direction of some of these things if you don't know about them. Maybe reviewing some of it. You know, it's pretty flexible at the moment, and we will respond to what you guys want and what results we get from our research, if you will. And there's also going to be an email address that you can contact us on as well, which is makeitfit2015, all one word. So it's makeitfit2015@gmail.com. And if you have any thoughts that you don't want to put into the main threads on Ravelry, then whack that through for us as well. We're going to have a mailing list to go along with it, because there is going to be content, and it is going to be in different media, in different places. We thought that was the easiest way to be able to keep it all together and to send it straight through to you in one little neat package for you to have a look at. So that is going to be Make It Fit 2015. We are going to be kicking off with an exciting event. We're going to do some investigations. We're going to do some myth smashing. We're going to follow our noses a little bit and get involved and look at different designers and look at different things and try and make it as interesting as possible before we get into more meaty kind of this is how you go about fixing or changing or doing things. So hopefully you will join us for Make It Fit 2015. And as I say, if you do have any feedback or any ideas, anything at all, we will respond to that. So do please send it through. And let's make the rest of this year all about making things fit. So I'm not really sure where to fit in the next bits of stuff and information. I guess it's just a follow-on from the last couple of episodes. We've been looking at summer yarns and looking at summer knitting patterns. Some of you have got in touch with some of your recommendations, and seeing as we're all about the enabling, I thought I would share those with you now. So first up is Iribiro, and she recommends DMC Natura Cotton for any summer knitting projects. I think she lives in Portugal, so she has to deal with knitting in hot weather quite a bit, and she recommends that as a yarn. She also said there's 100% linen yarn on Etsy that she really rates and is very cost effective. This is done by Yarn Stories on Etsy. Now, don't confuse Yarn Stories on Etsy with Yarn Stories, the Yorkshire Yarn Company. They're not the same thing. Yarn Stories on Etsy is a different company, and she is in Lithuania. So you may want to hop on there and check her out. I will give links to these in the show notes. Lovely Dana Broad, Hannah, has been on, and she recommends Holsgarn Coast, which is a 55% merino, 45% cotton yarn. This yarn is available from tangledyarn.co.uk, our friends over there, and they've got 48 colours. So this could be another good option where you'd have the cotton to keep you nice and cool, but you'd also have the merino to give it a little bit of stretch and bounce, really, and hopefully stop it from draping and stretching too much. Maybe a little bit easier on your hands when you're knitting. Katie Rosie recommends Claudia hand-painted yarns. They have got 100% linen yarn called Drama, which is a sport weight, and 100% linen lace weight yarn called Contemplation. They are a US company, and I don't think they are available in the UK from a UK stockist. judging by the stockist list, but they are quite widely available in the USA and also available in Australia and France, I believe, so worth giving them a little look as well. So if you've got any more thoughts on summer knitting yarns that you want to send through to me that I can share with everyone, or any experiences of knitting with plant-based fibre yarns, then do pop on and let me know. In the next episode, I will be sharing some summer pattern enabling that some of these ladies and some other people have sent through. So send any of your recommendations that you do have, pop them through to me, and you could be on the show as well. So I thought I'd squeeze on a little quick Wippin Piccadilly section onto the end of the podcast for you. I wasn't entirely sure when I recorded the intro exactly how much jibber jabber you would get from me today, and so I'll just knit this in as a little surprise for you at the end. I was quite surprised how many people actually like the Wippin Piccadilly section, according to the feedback you gave me in the Wool Miser competition. Generally because I don't ever seem to get that much stuff done on the knitting front. I spend a lot of time thinking about it, but I just don't seem to have enough finished objects to show for it, which is crazy really, because I don't really knit to have the finished things. I knit because I like it, and I knit because I like collecting wool. I think I prefer the collecting more than the knitting, if I'm not completely honest. So yeah, I thought I would just give you a little bit of an update and make you all feel a bit less bad at your lack of progress, if indeed you have a lack of progress. And yeah, just have a little bit of a reflect on how to increase output at Casa Shiny in the knitting department. Mostly because I have my lovely yarn vault in the spare room, and I have my boxes of yarn that I like to stash, and then I have TGS yarn as well, a couple of boxes of stuff for that. So there's work yarn and then there's personal collection yarn, and I quite often forget that I've gone and bought yarn for something. Is this bad? It sounds really bad, but I don't spend my money on anything else. I don't buy clothes, and I don't really go out because I have small children, so all my pennies that I get for spending go on yarn, because I don't spend it on anything else. But I'll get a project in my head and I'll buy the yarn for it, and then I'll forget to start it, and then I'll forget I even have the yarn, like my new Lanark yarn for the Eiligan. I've just spotted it in one of the boxes and thought, oh bugger, I've got some yarn there, I've not used it, and that's quite a quick project, and I could have a cardigan, but I've not cast it on yet. Still not finished your Rowells yet, Joe. So yeah, I guess I'll talk about what kind of stuff I have been knitting, really, and my methods for trying to bring some of the stash to the front of my mind and think about how I can be using it. So off the needles, nothing, no surprises there. I kind of thought I might have knocked out another lapsang hat by now, to go with the one I did for Sammy's teacher. I knitted Keely a lapsang hat. The pattern is by Claire Divine. I've knitted a couple of them, but I managed to hurt my fingers last time because I was a bit up against it on the old timeline, and managed to hurt my fingers a little bit knitting it because it's quite it's 100% baby alpaca yarn. The yarn was from Eden Cottage Yarns. It was the Whitfell Chunky, 100% super soft baby alpaca. But there isn't a massive amount of give in it, and I think I just hurt my hands a little bit doing the pattern, so I'm a little bit reluctant to cast another one of those on, even though I know it will be quick. Not instant, but as close to instant as you get with knitting gratification. So what have I been knitting on? Well, I have been knitting on my Hap as part of the Knit British Hap Along. As I mentioned a couple of episodes ago, I've completely fallen out of currency with the group, which is going great guns. It's brilliant. Some people are keeping up. They're doing a brilliant job. But if I kept up with that, I wouldn't even get the little knitting that I do get done wouldn't get done. So, for that, I am knitting the Ace Light Shawl, which is by Gudrun Johnston. And it is a traditional Hap construction shawl, which consists of the main body triangle, which you knit first, and you do little loops on the edges, and then you pick up all of those loops and knit on the border, and then once you got past the knitted border part, you sort of knit in side to side on the border rather than all the way around, so it's much shorter rows to do the edging. I am in the middle of the bird's eye lace at the moment, which is a really straightforward lace pattern. It is literally kind of knit two togethers, then double yarn overs. Nothing exciting, nothing that should be difficult. Had to rip it out once already. Several other people I've seen have been ripping out the bird's eye lace, even though it is in no way difficult to do. I guess it's one of those things where you get sucked in if it's easy and you just don't concentrate. And normally I'm all right. I've got this weird muscle memory that means I just do it right even if I've not been looking. But on this occasion that didn't happen. I did do a bit of fudgery and I should have just took it back and it was going to be a big mess, so I had to rip it all out. But I'm now on the last repeat of the bird's eye lace, and then after that there's a couple of rows of edging, then we go on to the side to side edging. They're really short rows, so I'm hoping that will be a little bit quicker. The yarn I'm using for that is Nurturing Fibres Super Twist Sock yarn, and that is 100% high twist merino, South African merino, and it's in the colourway Owl House. This was a special one-off colourway that was dyed 2013, I think it was, and maybe I should start putting up my stash into boxes according to age, rather than just that looks nice together, like it does at the moment. And it was a one-off colourway for the Colours from Africa club, and it goes from a really rich kind of dark pink, sort of guava pink, through red to kind of mango orange, so it's quite bright, and it's a very kind of gradual colour shift yarn. I've had this yarn for a while, and I actually have a couple of skeins of the contrasts to go with it, and I've never really known what to do with it, and it's always sat there looking at me going, pick me for something. I am beautiful, there's red in me, and look at me, I'm nice. And I've never really known what that pattern was, and had no intention of getting involved in any Hapalong madness, because I am a fully paid up platinum member of the hotel for the hopelessly overcommitted. So another project that I had previously had no intention of doing was really the last thing that needed to be on my mind. However, I fell into the rabbit hole. Lots of other people were in the rabbit hole too. And I'm glad I did, because I'm really enjoying how the colours are coming out. And I think this pattern, with the fact that it is a different construction in that you've got that centre triangle and the pattern repeat looks a certain way on the centre triangle, then you've got the bird's eye lace, and because it's quite a long gradual colour shift, again it's a completely different pattern on the bird's eye lace, and that will be the case on the edging, because that's very short rows and going again in a different direction. So I think it's been a really good pattern and yarn combo. Obviously that remains to be seen. I could be eating my hat in a couple of weeks' time when the border looks awful, but fingers crossed, I'm sure it will be fine. But it was one of those skeins that it didn't know what it wanted to be, and the longer it didn't know what it wanted to be, the more sort of uncomfortable that idea made me. And the fact that I should be trying to match it up with the coordinates, and I wasn't quite sure that would work because of the really gradual colour changes, and it wouldn't really be obvious enough, and all of that. But no, it's coming out really lovely, and I'm being reminded again how much I enjoy working with South African merino, and the yarn is great because it's a high twist yarn. It's showing up all of that lovely squishy detail. And a garter stitch triangle. I am getting a bit about the garter stitch recently. It's quite surprising, dare I say it, almost enjoying it. It was definitely, the main triangle is TV knitting. It's brilliant. So that is A Slat by Gudrun Johnston, and when's it going to be finished? I don't know. I am concentrating on quite a bit of my effort on that at the moment, mostly because the people love the yarn and they want to see it, and that seems to spur me on in the same way that it did with the Kunya, and there was all the gold yarn aficionados. Well, there's obviously a lot of orange and pink yarn aficionados that want to see this yarn knitted up, so that's kind of spurring me on a little bit to get some stuff done on it. It's difficult because there's only so much time in a day, and whilst we all want to knit things that are beautiful and lovely and are a bit interested and that are challenging, sometimes when it gets to night time, you just don't have the mental capacity for that. And it's certainly those kinds of projects are not the kinds of projects that lend themselves to you just going and picking them up and rattling out a couple of rows and then putting them down again. And that's been a bit of a problem that I've found with my knitting recently, is that I have not had one of those projects really. I had the Brambos socks that I've been working on, which were plain afterthought heel socks, from the first month of the sock surgery, and I'm still not making a great deal of progress on those. They're my handbag knitting, so if I'm going anywhere where I need to sit, I take those with me, or my little teeny tiny kinky Amabari needles, at the disco. I'm there dancing around my handbag with my knitting in it, and I was a bit concerned because I thought I got to the point where I needed to decrease for the toe. So again, everything ground to a halt on it, and because I have no mental capacity in the evening, it just sat there. Actually, when I measured it and used Claire's calculator, I found out that I was about 2 inches off needing to do anything, and I should just carry on. But I think that's the main problem. I need a project that is just, I can just pick up and do a couple of rows on, that involves no thinking. And that way I can still make progress and then concentrate on all the fiddly bits when I have a bit of capacity. Because very often I get to a part where you have to do something, be it put in holding yarn for an afterthought heel, or to start doing a toe, or to start doing a lace pattern, or what. And then I just throw it to one side because I have to think about it. And I have no capacity for thinking about it. And because I've not had that other project there, the simple project to pick up, nothing's been done. So what I think I need to do is get some of the self-stripe out, cast something else on. What I think I need to do is just cast more stuff on. Shoot me now. Is maybe get some self-stripe out that I can just go round and round and round on, or probably on the magic loop, because obviously my kinky berries are in use, and it obviously of no relevance that I do actually still need the matching sock to that. But no, I'm not going to cast on the matching sock. I'm going to cast on something else altogether. Possibly another Kunyu shawl, because that is very easy to memorise pattern, and the majority of it is just back and forwards and simple increases. And in fairness, I do have a number of garments in me at the moment, including but not limited to a Malone jumper, a little goldfish bowl jumper for Sammy Moo, the Tin Can Knits pattern, 2 lushes for me, as in ripping back the one I've done and making it fit, and another one, and I have the yarn for another one after that. And I have the yarn for a mini one for the Beast. She needs one because she doesn't fit in any of her cardigans and it's still cold. And I've even picked out the glittery pink buttons to go with the neon pink cardigan. She doesn't even like neon pink anymore because it's been so long since I bought the yarn. And yeah, and other stuff. A Malone jumper as well. So, and the owls and the owl Oligan. And Frost at Midnight, and I just need to concentrate, don't I? Really. So if any of you have any ideas on how to overcome this flailing madly rather than just getting stuff done, not following my own advice as usual, then let me know. I would be appreciative of any techniques you use for that, other than just pinning me down and making me just knit on one thing, taking everything away from me, so that I can only knit on one thing. That might work. So yeah, there's the A-Slap by Gudrun Johnson, getting back to the point. And the other thing I've been knitting on, that I've covered in brief there, is the Brambos socks. This is just an ordinary afterthought heel pattern. I've used Claire's sock calculator that she made me to work out all of the patterns. So it's sort of written by me with a lot of assistance from the Divine. and I'm knitting that in some hand-dyed yarn that I dyed myself at a workshop with Debbie Tonkeys in Manchester at Pearl City Yarns, RIP. It's very bright, it's very fun, I'm enjoying it, it's brilliant for carrying around, and I think I'll be a lot more confident when I've done the toe and I put the heel in and it fits, because the last afterthought one that I did didn't fit right because I didn't follow the instructions. And indeed I do still need to rip the toes off that and just make it so that it fits. That little bit of work there that's needed just to get a pair of socks I can wear, that would be helpful. I need to get on with that. So yeah, it's going okay so far. It's just not really making a great deal of progress, as with all my knitting. So that's all I've done on the Wippin Piccadilly front. Not a lot of whipping at all. But as I say, I do have some exciting projects that I have my eye on, even though I've not finished the ones that I have on the go. One of which being the Malone jumper that's been sitting there waiting for a long time, and I think it just needs to be released now. I've also been gifted a lot of patterns recently, some for my birthday and some random acts of pattern that people have given me, which is very kind. And obviously I feel like I need to knit those too, to, you know, because someone's given me the pattern. It was in my wish list as well, and I was still not cast on, and I have the yarn. So yeah, some techniques, some tips for making progress would be appreciated if you have any. If you also have this problem, and maybe we need to set up some kind of counsellor's office in the hotel for the hopelessly overcommitted, then give me a shout. So I'm afraid that's all we've got time for this week. I hope you've enjoyed the show and had a happy 45 minutes chilling out with me this week. Next week we'll be back with Claire with the sock surgery, amongst some other things. Lots of exciting stuff to come up on the podcast, lots of plans to put into place, and I hope you'll be enjoying all of that with me. So all I need to do now is to wish you all a great week, happy crafting, and speak to you all again soon. Bye! You've been listening to the Shiny Bees podcast, a podcast for those who like their knitting, comedy and yarn in equally large measures. If you'd like to get in contact with me, you can do so via the blog, or I'm Shiny Bees on Ravelry, Instagram, Twitter, Pinterest and Facebook. You can email me at shinybeesinfo@gmail.com. Music for this episode is provided via Music Alley, and it is Adam and the Walter Boys and I Need a Drink.
I need a drink.